Conawago extract, the sacred yellow powder. But though he had reached the rock face, his companion was not digging the ochre. With 24 bloodthirsty enemies before him, he was on his knees, arms outstretched at his waist, palms upward, speaking softly to the moon. "By all that's holy, dig it out," Duncan whispered, watching the sleeping camp, desperately trying to calculate where the remaining sentry would be. "All that's holy will tell me if I am worthy," Conawago replied slowly. His months-long quest to reconnect the tribes to their gods, who had so clearly abandoned them, might be the most urgent task of his life, but he would not rush the spirits. He was waiting for a sign. Duncan surveyed the camp in grim anticipation. Surely there was no chance now of escaping undetected. But he would not interfere with this courageous elder, who so uncannily reminded him of his beloved grandfather, who had indeed become like a grandfather and more to him. Duncan's tribe, too, had been abandoned by its gods, years earlier in the Highlands of Scotland. His tribe, too, was nearly extinct due to the greed of the European kings. He had been denied a chance to give his life for his clan in Scotland, but he would not hesitate to offer it up to protect the gentle old Nipmuc. He freed his knife of the leather strap that kept it tight to his belt, then knelt and rested his rifle barrel on a boulder facing the camp. The Huron raiders, always painted with blood, would come first, screaming like banshees, eager for the demons carved on their axe heads to chew enemy flesh. He heard a whispered syllable of gratitude and looked up to see a solitary goose fly across the face of the moon. Conawago arranged a square of leather below the seam of ochre and began gouging it out with his knife. They were trotting westward, along the ancient trail that connected the homelands of the Iroquois in the north to the western Ohio country. The first grey light of day filtering through the oaks and hemlocks when Conawago abruptly slowed. Suddenly his long battle-axe was in his hand, its end circling in the air as if about to be launched. Duncan raised his rifle, instinctively cocking the hammer. Conawago pushed the pouch that contained the hard-won ochre to his back to protect it, and he seemed about to charge forward when he spotted a pale oval object on the path in front of him. Duncan had never known him to show defeat, but now, as the old Indian gazed at the turtle shell painted with red symbols, an anguished groan escaped his lips. He took a step backward and seemed to sag as a tall warrior stepped out of the shadows. The stranger was unarmed, except for a hunting knife hanging from a strap across his bare chest, though the fire in his eyes said he was about to wreak havoc. Conawago dropped his axe to the ground and motioned Duncan to lower his gun, muttering one word. Onondaga, the name of one of the friendly Six Nations, the Iroquois. But the man gave no indication of being an ally. He tensed, his fists clenched, as if about to spring on the old man. Duncan stepped to the side, ready to react when the stranger attacked. He saw now the turtle tattoo that covered half his face, the elaborate painted designs on his arms and chest, exposed under the sleeveless waistcoat he wore open over his buckskin leggings and loincloth. The stranger was no ordinary warrior, but a leader of one of the tribe's powerful secret societies. Duncan searched his memory for what he had learned of the Onondaga in his months with Conawago. They were the keepers of the Iroquois Confederation's central hearth, arbiters of disputes, guardians of the ancient secrets that kept the tribes anchored to their past. Chief of the Turtle Clan, Conawago added, as if the announcement should quiet Duncan. You are outcast, the intruder hissed. Since the birth of our people, our totems have been safe, honored by our prayers and protected by our gods. Then you steal them like a common thief. You spit on our gods. You are no longer protected by the Haudenosaunee. Duncan saw the grief that rose on his friend's face, like a physical pain contracting his features. His mind raced back a month earlier to a small cave above one of the long lakes west of the New York colony, its entrance surrounded by skulls and feathers. Over the opening had been a large turtle shell painted with symbols